Hi students, welcome back to our class. So in this class we are going to discuss about some important properties of vectors. In the previous class we have discussed about the characteristics of vectors like initial point, terminal point and the magnitude of the vectors. And in this class we are going to derive some characteristics or explain some characteristics, etc. And also we derive some methods to calculate various arithmetic operations with vectors. And the first and basic arithmetic operation in all the mathematics is addition. And in this class, first of all we are going to explain about vector addition. There are basically two methods for vector addition. The first one is triangle method of vector addition. And the second one is parallelogram law. Law of vector addition. So we have two laws, namely triangular law and parallelogram law. In the triangular law, suppose that we are provided with two vectors, vector A and vector B. Let this be vector A and this be vector B. In the triangular law, we are taking this vector and dragging this vector so that this vector reaches this position. That is, I dragged this vector from here to here so that I obtained the new position of the vector B as like this. See, the vector B was originally here. I just dragged the vector to the new position so that I got vector B in the new position. Note that the initial point of vector B is placed in the terminal point of the vector A. Always remember that the initial point of vector B is placed in the terminal point of vector A. And the advantage of this transformation is that now we obtained this as the sides of a triangle. So we can complete the third side easily, and the third side is nothing but the resultant vector A plus B. That is, by triangular law we can easily find A plus B. What we have to do, we have to place the vectors as the sides of the triangle, and then we can easily find the third side of the triangle just by joining A and B. Is it clear? Similarly, we can find minus B also. What we have to do in finding minus B, see, I told you in the previous class that in order to find the negative of a vector, just reverse the direction. Don't do anything, or we shouldn't change its magnitude or anything else, initial point, just change the direction so that the terminal point get reverted, and we obtain the minus B just like this. So minus B is nothing but a new vector formed by just reversing the direction of the vector B. So we get minus B. So see, here also we got a side of the triangle. The new initial point of the new vector is in the terminal point of A, and we can find these two as the sides of a triangle. Here also we can find the third side just by joining the third side, right? So this is nothing but vector A plus minus vector B, right? That is, plus into minus is nothing but minus B. So vector A minus vector B. So we got A minus B just by adding A with minus B. Minus B was obtained by reversing the direction of the vector B. So in this way we can find A plus B and A minus B. Now coming to the parallelogram law of vector addition. In this case, we are provided with a vector, say vector A, and we have to find, and also suppose that we are provided with another vector B. In the parallelogram law of vector addition, here we have dragged vector B to the point where the terminal point of vector A lies. In parallelogram law of vector addition, we just drag this vector to the initial point of the vector A. So here I dragged vector B to the initial point of vector A. So we get this is equal to new vector B, new position of the vector B. And here we can form a parallelogram like this. See, Here easily we can form a parallelogram like this. And in parallelogram law of vector addition, vector A plus B is nothing but the diagonal of the parallelogram. So vector A plus B is nothing but the diagonal of the parallelogram. Clear? So diagonal of the parallelogram is nothing but the A plus B in vector addition by parallelogram law. Also observe that here we have vector A and this is vector B, and the same, this side is parallel to this side, so this is also vector B, right? So here we got a triangle, and this is same as the triangular law of vector addition. See, parallelogram law and triangular law is well connected. So always remember that in order to apply parallelogram law, we have to fix the initial point of the new vector with the initial point of the original vector. Whereas in triangular method, we have to fix the initial point of the new vector with the terminal point of the original vector. This is the main difference between parallelogram law and triangular law of vector addition. So now we shall move to the properties of vector addition. There are two very important properties for a vector addition. The first property is vector A plus vector B is nothing but vector B plus vector A. This property is known as commutative property. Commutative property means that we can easily add two vectors without considering the order of addition. For example, we know that 2 plus 3 equal to 3 plus 2, but 2 minus 3 not is equal to 3 minus 2. So there are operations which are commutative as well as non-commutative. So in this case, vector addition is a commutative property. So how we can prove it? See, here I have vector A and vector B. By triangular law of vector addition, we know that vector A plus B is nothing but a vector which starts from A and ends in C. So we have this vector as A plus B. So vector A plus vector B is equal to AB plus BC is equal to AC. Clear? Now we want to show that this is equal to B plus A. See, since this vector is B, by parallelogram law or by making it as a sides of parallelogram, we have displaced this vector to this position to get this vector as B itself. And since this vector is A, we can displace this vector to this position. So it will become vector A. So again we have vector B plus vector C. See, vector B plus vector A, vector B plus vector A equal to vector B plus vector A equal to, see, these are two sides of a triangle. So the resultant vector A plus B or B plus A is equal to this, equal to B plus A, which is obtained by AD plus DC, equal to AD plus DC, which is nothing but AC. So vector B plus vector A is nothing but vector B plus vector A is also this same straight lines, that is B plus A. So we can say that vector A plus B is equal to vector B plus A is nothing but AC. So we have vector B plus vector A is equal to AC, which is equal to vector A plus vector B. So it is always true that vector B plus A equal to vector A plus B. So A plus B equal to B plus A, or the commutative property always holds. So vector B plus vector A is nothing but this line. Also vector A plus vector B is also the same line. So we can say that this follows commutative property. Now the second most important property is associative property. So the second most important property is nothing but associative property. We know that associative property holds for the case of real numbers, natural numbers, etc. in the case of addition. So in this case, we are going to check whether vector addition is associative or not. Suppose we have three vectors, vector A, vector B and vector C like this. Here also we have taken the same condition, vector A, vector B, vector C. We are going to check whether associative property vector A plus B plus C is equal to vector A plus vector B plus C or not. We are going to check whether this is true or not. This is any arbitrary 3 vectors and we are going to check whether this condition is valid in the case of vector addition or not. Suppose that we can find vector A, first case vector A plus vector B plus C. So first of all we have to find vector A plus vector B. By triangular law of vector addition, vector A plus B, these are to be considered as 2 sides of the triangle. So the third side is from this point to this point. So this is nothing but vector A plus vector B. Then by the associative property we have to what? C. So vector A plus vector B plus C. See, consider this side and this side as the 2 sides of a triangle. Then the resultant vector will be this. This is nothing but vector A plus vector B. This is has already done here plus vector C. See, we got this as the resultant vector. If we name it as A, B, C, D, vector A plus vector B plus vector C is nothing but AD. Vector AD. So it is clear. Is it clear? So we get this. Now we shall check the second condition, whether vector A plus vector B plus C. So here we have to add vector B plus vector C at the first step. Then we have to add vector A to it to check whether these are two equal or not. So now vector B plus vector C, that is vector B plus vector C, considering these two as the sides of a triangle, this will be the resultant vector. This is nothing but vector B plus vector C. Now considering adding vector A to it, we can consider this and this as the sides of the triangle. So the resultant vector will be this, and this is nothing but vector A plus vector B plus vector C. So we got this as the end result here. We can also name the same names to vectors here. So we get vector A plus vector B plus vector C is equal to AD. See, here also we got AD and here also we got AD as the end result. So which means that vector A plus vector B plus C equal to vector A plus vector B plus C. Is it clear? So it is trivial that all the vectors, or it is easy to prove that all the vectors satisfy vector addition properties such as commutative property and associative property. By commutative property we means that two vectors are said to be in commutative property whenever vector A plus vector B is equal to vector B plus A, and two vectors are said to be in associative property whenever vector A plus vector B plus vector C is equal to vector A plus vector B plus C. See, here we are adding vector A plus vector B at first. Here we are adding this at first. So which makes us that there is no importance for adding, taking the order of vectors in adding. So what only matters the end result. The end result will always be the same whatever by the order of vectors we have chosen. Now we shall move to the next topic. Next topic is nothing but multiplication of vector by a scalar. So whenever we are going to multiply a vector by a scalar, we should be aware of the terms. Here we are multiplying a vector by a scalar. A scalar means a real number, just a real number. So if we are provided with a vector, say A, we have to multiply this vector by lambda. Say lambda be the scalar. So we have to multiply the vector A by lambda. Suppose that the length of the vector is this. Let A be this vector, and suppose the lambda is equal to 2. That is, we have taken the scalar as 2. Then 2 into vector A means a vector which has the same direction and magnitude double of A. That is, whenever we multiplied the vector A by 2, the magnitude becomes 2 times the original vector. Suppose that we chose lambda is equal to 1 by 2. Then we get a vector whose magnitude is just the half of the vector A. That means that whenever we are multiplying a vector by a scalar, say lambda, what happens is that it just altering or scaling the size of the magnitude of the vector A. That is, vector A's magnitude becomes lambda times the original magnitude. So whenever we are asked to multiply a vector by a scalar, just do this. Turn the magnitude of the original vector into lambda times. No need to change the direction or any other properties. The initial point and the terminal point, initial point stays the same, and the terminal point got extended until the magnitude becomes lambda times of the original vector. So whenever we are asked to multiply a vector by a scalar, just scale the vector. Just scale the vector until the magnitude becomes lambda times the original magnitude. Now suppose that lambda is equal to 1 by modulus of A. That is 1 by the magnitude of A. Suppose that lambda is equal to 1 by mod A. We know that for a vector in the point, for the position vector, for a point in the point x, y, z, and the coordinate plane is like this. If P is a point here, then we know that this is the position vector of this point, also the magnitude of this vector. Let A be, then the magnitude of this vector AB is nothing but root of x minus 0 the whole square plus y minus 0 the whole square plus z minus 0 the whole square, which is modulus of vector AB. So if lambda is equal to 1 by modulus of the vector, 1 by the magnitude of the vector, then we have lambda A is equal to vector A divided by modulus of the vector A, right? And this quantity is nothing but A cap. This quantity is denoted by A cap, and A cap is nothing but a unit vector, which is in the same direction of A, So if you have doubt, you can ask me directly in the comment section, so I will reply as quick as possible. So a unit vector which is in the same direction as of A is denoted by A cap. So A cap is obtained by dividing A by its magnitude, or choosing lambda is equal to modulus of A, provided A cannot be a zero vector. Let it be there, whatever it is, lambda A must be equal to A by modulus of A, and it is denoted by A cap. Similarly, we can generate for any vector we can generate a unit vector in the direction of that vector. Just divide the vector by its magnitude to obtain the modulus or the unit vector in the direction of that vector. So now we can move to the next section. So now we shall move to the components of a vector. So far we have learned that unit vector can be found by dividing any vector by its magnitude. We get a unit vector. Now suppose that these points are the points of distance 1 unit from the origin. Then for the x-axis this point is nothing but 1 0 0. For the y-axis it is 0 1 0. Note that this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis, and this is the z-axis. And for this point it is 0 0 1. Now the unit vector along the direction of x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis can be found by, see here the distance is 1 unit, right? And this is the origin. We know that to any point we can draw a position vector from the origin, isn't it? Now this is the point we need to find, and let this be the position vector of this point from the origin, and we name it as I cap. See, the magnitude of this vector is 1 unit, and we named it as I cap just because this is the unit vector in the direction of x-axis. Note that we denote any unit vector as a cap. So I cap is nothing but, always remember that I cap is nothing but the unit vector in the direction of x-axis. Similarly, the unit vector in the direction of y-axis is j cap, and the unit vector in the direction of z-axis is k cap. X-axis, y-axis, z-axis. Unit vector in the direction of x-axis is I cap, in the direction of y-axis is j cap, and in the direction of z-axis is k cap. Always keep in mind, this is the result for unit vectors. Now we want to find the components of the vector, point P of xy or z, or we have to find the components of the vector OP R or the position vector R. Now, P of xyz is named so because this point is at x unit distance from the x-axis. That is, this point has distance 0 to x. That is, the distance in the x-axis corresponding to this point is nothing but x units. Now, x unit means that is just a scalar. We know we want a vector. So, in order to make it into vector, we multiply x with this I cap to get this vector as x I cap. So, this is nothing but x I cap. Similarly, we have this vector. Let this point be P, this point be Q, and this point be R. Now, OQ is nothing but y j cap because this point is xyz, that is the second point is y, which means that this point is at y units from the y axis. So this distance is nothing but y and this is yj cap. Similarly, this vector OR is nothing but zk cap. We multiplied it with the unit vectors just to make those vectors, those scalars into vectors. We know that a vector multiplied by a scalar is always a vector. So we have xi cap, yj cap and zk cap are nothing but vectors. Clear? Now see, this is yj cap, right? And this is xi cap. Now this distance is same as this distance, right? That is, this is also what? Yj cap, since they are parallel. Now we have, this is xi cap, this is yj cap. Then by the triangular law of vector addition, this is nothing but xi cap plus yj cap. So we get xi cap plus yj cap as this diagonal. Now see, this is zk cap, that is, this is zk cap. Therefore we have this as the one side of the triangle and this as the another side of the triangle. So the diagonal will be xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. So we have xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap as the position vector of the point xyz, because see, here again we applied the triangular law of vector addition to get this vector as xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. So we get P of position vector OP is nothing but xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. Clear? So the first component is xi cap, the second component is yj cap, and the third component is zk cap. So for any vector we can find the for any point we can find the position vector, and the position vector is of the form xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. So I hope you are clear with these components. So whenever you are given with a point x, y, z, we can find the position vector as xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap, where I, j, k, I cap, j cap, k cap are nothing but the unit vectors along the direction. So now we know that any vector can be represented of the form xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. Suppose that we are provided with two vectors. Let a bar is equal to a1 I cap plus a2 j cap plus a3 k cap, and vector b is equal to b1 I cap plus b2 j cap plus b3 k cap, since any vector can be represented is of this form. Now we have a plus b is nothing but a1 plus b1 into I cap plus a2 plus b2 into j cap plus a3 plus b3 into k cap. So in order to add the two vectors of this form, it is enough to add the respective components. The first component is added and the unit vector along the x-axis is given with them. The second components are added and the unit vector along the y-axis j cap is given with them, and the third vector is also like that. Third components also like that. Now we have vector A minus vector B, which is same as that of this a1 minus b1 into I cap, a2 minus b2 into j cap, a3 minus b3 into k cap. Similarly, we can find a minus b just like the same method. See, these two are very simple to remember. So always remember that any vector can be expressed of this form, where the components are in the direction of x-axis, in the direction of y-axis, in the direction of z-axis, can be identified by looking into the unit vectors. Okay, now whenever two unit vectors, that is a and b, vector a is equal to vector b, if and only if a1 is equal to b1, a2 is equal to b2 and a3 is equal to b3, which means that these two vectors can be equal only if their respective components are equal. So we have to remember that two vectors are said to be equal only when the components are equal. Now let a is given like this. We have to find lambda into vector a. Lambda into vector a, where lambda is a scalar, which means that we have to find lambda into a1 I cap plus a2 j cap plus a3 k cap, right? Now we can multiply this lambda with each components. So we get lambda a1 I cap, lambda a2 j cap, lambda a3 k cap. So we get lambda a is nothing but lambda a1 into I cap, lambda a2 into j cap, lambda a3 into k cap. So in order to multiply a vector by a scalar, just multiply each component by that scalar. Clear? Now suppose that a and b are two vectors and k and m be two scalars. So we have now two vectors as well as two scalars. Then we have ka plus ma is equal to, see, we have multiplied k with respect to a and m into the same vector a. That means that we have multiplied the same vector with two constants and added. It is equal to, just in the case of real numbers, we can take the vector a common, which is equal to k plus m into the vector a. Again, k plus m is a scalar, so in order to multiply k plus m into a, we have to multiply k plus m with the each component of the vector a. Similarly, k into m a is equal to km into vector a. See, here we first multiplied m with the vector a, then we multiplied k with the resulting vector. In order, there is a easy method. Instead of doing this, first of all multiply both the scalars and then multiply it with the vector. We can interpret this result just like that. Now the last result is k into vector a into vector b is nothing but k into vector a into k into vector b. So in order to multiply two vectors and then multiply with a scalar, it is enough to multiply each vector with the scalars and then multiply the end results. So these are the basic results. I know that these are very simple results. It can be the identical, maybe you may look these are results identical to the results you have learned in your real number systems. So don't bother about it, just remember this result. It may help you in doing problems. So we shall move to the next section. Now we shall make a condition for collinearity of vectors. Suppose that we have two vectors, vector a is equal to a1 I cap plus a2 j cap plus a3 k cap, and vector b is equal to b1 I cap plus b2 j cap plus b3 k cap. Here we received two vectors a and b such that a is equal to this and b is equal to this, and we are going to provide, or we are going to find a condition for linearity of these vectors. Linearity means, suppose that this is a straight line, this is a straight line, and I have a vector from here to here, and also suppose that I have another vector from the initial point, this point, until the vector reaches this point. So let this vector be a and the entire vector be b. See, I taken a small vector, the small vector as a and the bigger vector as b. Also we said that whenever we multiply a vector by a scalar, it means that we are scaling the vector. That means if we multiply a with 2, the vector we get a vector with double the size. And b is also a vector in the same line as that of a, which means that vector a and vector b are collinear, right? So here vector a and vector b are collinear. Now observe that, suppose that if we can find a lambda, or suppose that if there exists a lambda such that lambda into a is equal to b, that is b, we know that b is the entire vector. Also we know that if we multiply a with some lambda, a will become bigger and bigger until we multiply the size of a becomes b. That is, we have to finding a lambda such that vector b is equal to lambda into vector a. So in order for a and b should be collinear, we have to find a lambda such that vector b is equal to lambda into a, which means that we have to find a lambda such that if we multiply lambda with a, we should get b. Always remember that whenever we multiply a vector with a scalar, the new vector will be a vector obtained by enlarging the original vector. Here we have to enlarge this vector until it becomes b. Such a lambda should be found out. Only then we can say that these two vectors are collinear, right? Now we shall substitute the component form of vectors in this relation. We know that a is equal to this and b is equal to this, and we obtained a relation like this, and when we substitute, it will become b1 I cap plus b2 j cap plus b3 k cap. It is equal to lambda into a cap. A is vector a is nothing but a1 I cap, a2 j cap plus a3 k cap, right? Now we shall multiply each of the component with respect to the scalar. We know that in order to multiply a vector by a scalar, we have to multiply each component by the scalar, by the previous result. So it will become lambda into a1 I cap, lambda into a2 j cap, lambda into a3 k cap, right? See, the left side is b1 I cap plus b2 j cap plus b3 k cap, and the right side is this. So equating the respective components, this is the component in the x direction, this is the component in the x direction, right? So we can equate the components in the respective direction. So b1 is equal to lambda into a1, b2 is equal to lambda into a2, b3 is equal to lambda into a3, right? Now we can evaluate lambda from each of the equation. That is, lambda is equal to b1 by a1, lambda is equal to b1 by a1, same lambda is equal to b2 by a2, equal to b2 by a2, same lambda is equal to b3 by a3, b3 by a3. So in order for two vectors to be collinear, we have to find a lambda such that lambda is equal to b1 by a1, b2 by a2, b3 by a3. I hope you understood this. Of course, it is very simple derivation, and you know, no need to study. ഇതൊന്നും പഠിക്കേണ്ട കാര്യമില്ല. Just memorize the process. And what you should remember is this end result. That is, b1 by a1 is equal to b2 by a2 is equal to b3 by a3. Always remember this result, because whenever we are asked in exams to check whether two vectors are equal or not, we have to check whether b1 by a1 is equal to b2 by a2 is equal to b3 by a3. If they are equal to a number, then that number will be our lambda, and hence we are able to find a lambda such that b is equal to lambda a. So always remember that എപ്പോഴാണോ രണ്ട് വെക്ടേഴ്സ് ഈക്വൽ ആണോ എന്ന് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ നമ്മളോട് ആവശ്യപ്പെടുന്നത്, അപ്പോഴൊക്കെ we have to check whether b1 by a1 is equal to b2 by a2 is equal to b3 by a3. Just check that itself. If they are equal, then we can really say that these two vectors are collinear.